And discuss the historical significance of former President Trump's conviction and more. Let's bring in Barbara Perry, professor of presidential studies and co-director of the Presidential Oral History Program at the Miller Center of Public Affairs, a nonpartisan affiliate of the University of Virginia. Barbara, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. This is the first time ever that a former U.S. president has been found guilty and convicted of a felony. What do you think the historians will have to say about this unprecedented moment in time?
Thank you for having me. I think that what they will say is what we say when we look back at Richard Nixon, for example, and while he resigned before he could be impeached and convicted and was pardoned before he would go before a civil court for a criminal situation in Watergate, I think that the first thing that people think about for Richard Nixon was that he resigned the presidency, and that was unprecedented. So I think that depending on how this goes, it is possible that this conviction could be overturned on appeal, but particularly should it stick. And even if it doesn't, it is the first time that a former president and someone running at the top of a ticket for the presidency would be convicted of a criminal situation, and in 34 counts, all at the felony level.
Yeah, how do you think this ranks when it comes to, historical moments in U.S. political history?
I think it ranks pretty high, I would say, as both a person who studies presidential history and a political scientist. I know from Catholic school training that the nuns taught us about having a black mark on our soul when we're born with original sin, and that baptism washes that away. But that if we would engage particularly in any kind of mortal sin, that would add another black mark to our soul. So I think that for former President Trump, at least for now, this is a black mark on his presidency and on his record as a politician.
Yeah, and Barbara, there's no surprise here. I mean, there's been a lot of reaction to the former president's criminal conviction, not just here in the U.S., but also around the world. Leaders in Russia, Italy, and Hungary, they have expressed support and solidarity with Donald Trump, while some other leaders in Great Britain and Japan really refrained from making comments, except maybe to mention that they're basically monitoring the situation. That said, how do you think the rest of the world is viewing this development, and how unusual is it on a global scale?
Well, it is unusual, and very much like Donald Trump himself, who was an unprecedented candidate and had some things in his presidency, whether one agreed or disagreed with the policies, but that tended to be unprecedented in his behavior. So I think that this is viewed by the world as unprecedented to have a former president and one running at the top of the ticket to be convicted in these 34 counts of felonies. So I think that it's difficult for the United States because we have tended to be the shining city on the hill. I worked at the Supreme Court for a year, and I spoke to 3,000 people from 70 different countries, and they would say, how do you get such a great judicial system that's not corrupt? Ours is corrupt in our country, and I was so proud of that. And I think that is how people should continue to see our constitutional structure and the Constitution itself, as well as those courts that uphold it.
Yeah, and we should mention, of course, even though he has been convicted, he still is the Republican nominee for president. How do you think this guilty verdict, what type of impact do you think it may have on voters, especially those who are undecided?
I think that would be those are the people that it would be most likely to impact and influence. So think, for example, at the very end of the 2016 campaign, where Jim Comey came forward to say he was reopening an investigation of Hillary Clinton. I had friends who had said they were Republicans, but they said they were going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And then when that came about, just a week or so before the election, they said, no, not going to vote for her, maybe wouldn't vote at the top of the ticket. So I think that a lot of people are already set. They're either going to vote for Trump, they're going to vote for Biden, maybe Robert Kennedy Jr., or they won't vote at the top of the ticket. But for that slice of people who may be undecided in swing states, this could make an impact. Some will say, oh, I'll vote for Trump because he was convicted, and others might say that they'll hold off voting for him because of these convictions.
Well, Barbara, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it. God bless you.
Bless you as well.